Welcome to the show, homies. This is part 2 of the First Time Homebuyers Playbook. No more guesswork, because today we're going to answer those elusive questions you've got. How do you calculate your home buying power? How much do you actually need to buy a home? And what can you do today if you're 6 months, 9 months, a year, or a year and a half from buying? The last lease ever. It's got simple, practical, monthly action steps that could show you how to make this one the last lease you're ever going to have without having to save a huge 20% down payment. Let's rock.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What's up, How to Buy a Homies? I'm David Sidoni, a full-time first-time homebuyer coach and educator, and this is the First Time Homebuyer Playbook Part 2. Part 1, that was the rent replacement strategy, and today's Part 2 is the Last Lease Ever program. This playbook, it's got action. A clear, simple, customized path with practical monthly action steps that you could start today that can help most renters prepare to buy a home in 12 months or less. These are easy, straightforward steps that you can do every single month that are going to get you the results. You deserve simple, because big real estate has been screwing first-time homebuyers over forever with a lazy and greedy business model that wants you, the consumer, you are supposed to be the one to figure out what to do. And you, the first-time homebuyer with the least amount of knowledge on the home buying process, they want you all on your own to figure out what to do 6 months, a year, 2 years before you buy a home. They offer you zero solutions for this. They just want slam dunk buyers to appear right in front of them, and so that they can close on a home quickly and they get a quick payday. And honestly, every pro in the real estate industry is supposed to know that a buyer's best deal doesn't happen in the negotiations. It happens the 12 to 18 months before they ever write an offer. So why is nobody offering that planning as part of their service? That's what we do today, because the last lease ever, I've been developing this for 20 years. Well, that's what you're going to get today with the last lease ever. Started way back when I started 20 years ago, working with first-time homebuyers in the super expensive Southern California housing market. So here, the pre-planning system, it had to be extraordinary just to find anything affordable. In 2019, I then decided to share this on the podcast, telling people nationwide, hey, since 99% of the real estate industry isn't giving you, the hopeful first-time homebuyers, the tools that you need to succeed, practical, trackable steps, things you need to do during the planning, months or years before you buy, well, we're going to get it to you, because this will set you up with the maximum buying power that's going to get you the most leverage. The Last Lease Ever program puts you first. It's not a course, it's not a webinar, it's not a PDF. This is just a tested and verified system that helps you plan, whether you're 3 years or 3 months out. You only have to focus on 3 things. We call them the big 3. They're your credit score, your debt management, and building up your savings. All you do is you map out where you are, you set your goals, and then you create a clear roadmap with easy action steps each month that get you to your goals. You build that custom roadmap with your coaches. It's a unicorn realtor and a lender, and it's free. There's no upfront fees for the coaching sessions, and there's never any pressure for you to buy a home ASAP so they can get paid, because the unicorns understand this playbook. They use this playbook, and they know how to build you a personalized 12-month blueprint, or more than that if you need it. The only goals for the pros who work with you during the planning is to make you the best buyer possible on your timeline. And here's what you do. It starts with 2 simple meetings, 45 minutes each. It's 90 minutes to build a simple plan that you're going to follow for the next 12 months, and it's going to change your life in just 1 year. That's the last lease ever. And that's it. Because with the right coach, it's not that complicated. And there's no obligation when you do this. You have months to make sure that you're working with the right people, that you're getting the top level service that you need, and frankly, that you really deserve. And while you're doing that planning, that's your time to make sure that you've got the right professionals coaching you, setting you up for your maximum success. And you 1 billion% do not need to get ready before you talk to anybody, before you hire a team. Biggest problem I see is people think they need to be perfect before they start the plan. That's a little confusing to me, because it's called a plan. What plan means that you're done and you're perfect? It's something you need to do. People expect that you need to do some work, that you need some guidance. So really hear this. Stop waiting to hire someone because that's killing your power when you actually do officially go to buy. You don't get ready and then hire the team. You hire the team and they get you ready. So we're going to get you the steps that are finally going to give you the clarity that you're looking for. You start by creating your goals for the big three: credit score, debt, and savings. It's the holy trinity of getting approved for the home that you want. On day one, today, you're going to write down where your numbers are. This is your starting point. Too many people, they think that they need to wait to talk to somebody, and then when they talk to someone, they're getting a yes or no answer. No, you got to start ahead and create a plan to hit the yes or no when you hit the goals that you're looking for. So day one, you're going to write down where your numbers are today. This is your starting point. And then you're going to set up the optimum target numbers down the line for each category: credit score, debt, and savings. We're not starting out seeing if you can buy a home today. It's not a yes or a no. We're assessing where you are today, and then we set the goal numbers for how you can best buy your first home on your timeline in the best way possible. Picture 3 of those fundraising thermometers. The ones you see when people are trying to hit a target goal for raising money. You're going to have those 2 meetings, and in those 2 45-minute discovery meetings with the first-time homebuyer pros, that's where you're going to get your accurate starting point numbers for your credit score, your debt, and your savings. And then you're going to get your goal numbers, and we're going to put that at the top of the thermometers. Then we're going to give you the steps to color in those thermometers. Each month, little steps to do a little more coloring until you hit the goals at the top of the thermometer so you can be the best and most powerful buyer that you can be. This is where the coaching comes in. You're not going to have to guess what to do all on your own. You don't have to figure out what to do to color that in. You're going to get expert guidance. They're going to help you set the proper goal numbers in each category. And then each month, they're going to give you the steps you need to do. And all this happens well before you ever write an offer. And it's all set up for you from first-time homebuyer specialists who deal in the real numbers that buyers use every single day. You get simple, practical action steps that you could take every single month to fill up your thermometers. And the podcast has tons of extra support too. Check the episode guide in the show notes. There's the 7-step series on how to financially prepare to buy a home. That's got great information. It starts at episode 515. And within that, there are 3 full episodes dedicated to the big 3. The last Lease Ever is tailored and personalized to your journey on your budget and your timeline. Once a month, you check in on your numbers, see where you started and see how you are getting towards your goal. You're going to get updated, straightforward action steps for the next 30 days. And then you just go out and live your life. You do you, breathe easy, because you know you're following a course that gets you to the end game. You don't have to worry about what's happening out there. You have a plan that's working. No more guesswork. Just look at the thermometers to track your progress, and then you can confidently know you're leveling up because there's a first-time homebuyer specialized team behind you that's leading this plan. And if you want to track your progress, rad, just look at the elementary school thermometer picture I just explained to you. You can even print them out and color them in as you go. In fact, I recommend this. Go to your parents or your grandparents and ask them if you can print it up on their printer. And when they see what you're doing and you see how serious you are about buying a home, bam, that's when you work the guilt trip on them. Say, hey, yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. Boy, but my savings is a little short. Sure could use some help. I know that the coloring in a thermometer sounds like a kindergarten project, but that's on purpose. It's intentionally set up to be simple in structure because you know what? During that time period, life's going to happen. It absolutely will. And that way, you've got a simple thing to look at so you don't get overwhelmed. And that way, your goals stay uncomplicated and clear when life gets complicated. Now, of course, there's a lot more to buying a home than my kindergarten project. And I go into very deep details in other podcasts. So you've got your last Lease Ever plan, but with it, you can get as complex as you want. There's all kinds of mathematical variables that can alter aspects of your pre-planning goals. The playbook, in a way, that's kind of just a starting point too. If you want more details, check the episode guide in the show notes and look for the titles that go into the major complexities of all parts of buying a home, the financial planning, the loans, the down payments, the buying strategies. And you know what? Get hardcore if that's your thing. Because the more pre-planning that you're willing to do, the more you're going to be amazed at the real affordable options available to you, not to mention how much sooner they become available to you. I've seen a whole bunch of first-time buyers go digital with their thermometers, and then they incorporate amazing complex spreadsheets and graphs and charts and budgeting scenarios. So whatever, knock yourself out. But no matter how you approach this, the last Lease Ever is a simple system for you. It's your base. And by following the system, you're going to get the service that you deserve. And they are also going to get a nice roadmap that shows you exactly where to go. You're going to be fully armed with answers, not questions. You can check in on your journey anytime, see how you're doing on your goals, and of course, reassess along the way. But most importantly, you're going to feel like you have some real control over this process. So let's get into the playbook with the tips for the big three and finding the action steps that you can do. First one is credit score. You got to start by knowing where's your credit score today. And no, gang, it's not the score that you get from Credit Karma or your bank statement or a credit card statement. Everything that you need to know on credit score, that's in episode 503, including where you should be looking at your credit score and a whole bunch of tips that you might not be hearing anywhere else. And credit scores are important because credit scores affect everything when it comes to buying a home, including the loan programs and options that are available to you, the costs on multiple different variables. If you got to use PMI, your credit score greatly affects the cost of your PMI. And it even affects your loan approval amount in some circumstances. In episode 503, you're going to learn about setting a realistic target. 720 is a good recommended spot because they actually do the credit scores in tiers to figure out what kind of loan program you're going to get and what you're going to get approved for. Keep in mind, 780 is the top. So anything above that, you're fine. Now, I do tell people all the time, yes, there are programs where you can get approved for a loan with a score as low as 580, but there's a better plan if that's you. So listen to 503 and learn the tips and the tactics so you can work your way up the credit score tiers. That's important home buying info. Some of the steps that you might be taking every month is learning how the credit score wheel or the pie is sliced up and how to improve each slice in your pie. Going to learn about reducing credit utilization, trying to find the magic numbers that makes your score go up. Learn about how to request a credit limit increase, about reporting your rent to the credit bureaus, a big boost for your scores, about becoming an authorized user on a trusted family member's account, and there's a whole bunch more. All that's in episode 503. Number 2 on the big 3, that's debt. I've talked about debt a lot recently on the show, really getting deep on the DTI. That's a big one because you want to begin to focus on your monthly debt numbers, not your total gross debt amounts. And what you'll do then is you set your goals for each debt. You might have little mini thermometers for each loan or credit card you've got. And then monthly, you're going to set up and calculate how much debt you should be paying down. You need to do that strategically. Set your goals, not just to eliminate the debt, but how to get the best home loan approval for the price of home that you're looking for. You also will learn about how student loan debts are not the anti-loan approval demon that people make them out to be. There's a whole bunch more on debt in episode 504. And that's when we get to number 3 in the big 3, the savings thermometer. And this one goes hand in hand with your second thermometer, your debt tracker. You're going to be building a strategy on the balance between those two. There's a mathematical formula. Especially when you're implementing the rent replacement strategy, you don't necessarily need to pay down all your debt. In fact, most of the time, you shouldn't because you'll end up renting for years when you don't have to. You're going to be balancing which one is happening each individual month. You're going to be paying down debt while you're simultaneously trying to build up the savings for your down payment and closing costs. There's a lot more information in episode 504 and 505. And I actually did a comprehensive explanation of the balancing act between debt and savings. That's episode 465. Make sure to put that in the show notes for you. Your support team is going to help you decide where your monthly money works the best for you. And again, you don't have to do this alone. Here's what you and your team are going to go over as you're setting your savings goals. You're going to choose a home price goal. Doesn't matter if it's $200,000 or $2 million. And then this next formula is going to answer the question that I hear all the time. How much do I need to save? The answer is a lot less than most people think. You absolutely don't need 20% down to qualify. That is a horrendous myth. And you also don't need a bigger down payment to lower your monthly payment to an affordable option. That is another mathematically incorrect myth that's been blown way out of proportion. All the real math is in episode 522. That's where I go over all the low down payment strategies, which a lot of times are going to help you set your goals for how much you need to save. And I'm going to get into that right now because we've coached tens of thousands of buyers who found affordable payments with down payments of 5%, 3.5% using an FHA loan, or 3% down with a standard conventional loan, and even 0 down payment options. But for the LLE, here's the math, plain and simple. I recommend using a 8% target goal for your savings number. That 8% comes from two numbers. It's 5% of the purchase price for your down payment and 3% of your purchase price for the closing costs. 5 and 3 is 8. So you take 8% of your purchase price, and that is your savings goal. And in fact, no matter what you heard from anybody else out there, 8% of the purchase price, this should be your maximum goal to save. In episode 522, you're going to hear that there are programs that don't need this full 8% and how a lot of how to buy a homies find options way lower than that 8%. They're buying homes with only 2, 3, or 4% of the purchase price. And that's the full down payment and the closing costs for 2, 3, and 4%. And that's in 2025, in 2026, and it'll be that way in 2027. Buyers have more power now, and there are lots of different ways for them to reduce the cost that it takes for them to get a home. And people are doing it in that range. So that's why I say 8%, that's your target, but that is your absolute maximum. So we'll start there because we know you can get in with that for an affordable option. And then you learn about all the other options while you're working with your Unicorn First Time Homebuyer Specialized team during this pre-planning that everyone else in real estate seems to have forgotten about. So once you've got that number, it's real easy for you to create a mathematical 12-month savings target. So on a $400,000 home, 8% is $32,000, right? 5% down payment, 3% closing costs, 8% of $400,000, $32,000. You go ahead and do your own math. 8% on $800,000, $64,000. 8% on $200,000 is $16,000. And if you've got a 12-month plan, you go, okay, we need to save $32,000. We've got $20,000 saved. Well, now you need $1,000 a month would be $12,000, and that would get you to $32,000. And remember, that's your maximum. So you start your plan, you put $1,000 away on week number 1, and now you went from 20 to 21,000. And then you and your unicorn team might figure out, hey, these guys are giving $10,000 back in seller concessions. Hey, this down payment program is going to give us $5,000, and that could change your savings number. But set it at 8%, start and divide it up, get your plan going, and you know exactly what you need to do each month, and then you can check in and see what new options you have along the way. And when you set up your plan, if it's 6 months, 8 months, or a year, just make sure that you also plan for any extra big chunks of money that come in. If you've got tax refunds or bonuses or anything like that. And then this is a tip I tell everybody. Once you start this and you've shown them your thermometers and your whole plan, I'm talking about your family, keep telling them about it. Tell all your friends and family, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let them know that the presents that you want for birthdays and holidays and anything else over the next year is a contribution to your home savings fund. I've even had buyers that have set up a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe for reals. They send it out to their friends and extended family all over the country, and they are shocked at the results because people love to support this cause. Now, for more details on saving, go to episode 505. And bam, that's it. That's the last lease ever. And because no two paths to home ownership are alike, let's talk about how the last lease ever is customizable, because each of you are going to have your own specific planning periods. Your support team's going to go over all of your goals. That's how you start. All of them. Makes it different, unique, bespoke, just for you. Personal goals and long-term financial goals. There's no cookie cutter formula because you each have way too many variables that's going to shape your custom last lease ever system. Don't ask your friends or family how they did this. Don't ask Google or AI because that's going to limit your buying power. This isn't their best way to buy a home. It's yours. Your goals, they shape everything. You need to change your mindset from what do we need to do to get approved to this new thinking. okay, what are our overall goals and how can we best build a plan to achieve that, not just get approved to buy a home? And that's the key. Remembering this is a custom program built around you and your objectives. And in those first meetings together, you're going to create the goal numbers to get to your desired end result based on all your goals, your finances, your personal stuff, your timelines, everything. You can listen to episode 506 for a full list of the goals that you need to evaluate for your home, the wants and needs, as well as your financial goals, and especially make sure you mix in your personal goals. And an extra massive benefit that you get working with a team that's committed to serving you through this long-term planning period, they're going to be there when the market shifts. Or they're also going to be there if something in your life shifts. You're going to have trusted professional advocates, people that are there to assist with adjustments, things that line up with your goals. You're going to want to stay flexible because new options can appear when there are changes in your income. Might be a life event, new loans and new down payment options. They come up all the time. Obviously, if home prices or interest rates change, that's going to affect your goals. There are also new down payment assistance programs that happen all the time, new grants. They put new money in new places and you've got to stay on top of it. You also want to watch the housing market trends in your area, or maybe there's just a fundamental change in your life and suddenly your life goals has changed. Now you've got the team that can help you adjust your plans to fit your new goals. There are some buyers who right from the start, they have a whole buttload of thermometers. They actually create multiple plans, like a 12-month plan, a 9-month, 6 months, and even a super intense 3-month plan. And that's the beauty of connecting with an advisor right from the start. Because the pros, the people who do this every day, they're doing adjustments like this 24/7. And once your plan or plans are in place, that dedicated team to your goals, they're constantly going to be monitoring what's happening with you, what's happening with the market. And so that you might be in a position where you can seize an opportunity that wasn't there when you started with your plan, but they're watching this stuff every day and they know what's happening. By setting up your Last Lease Ever program early, you're going to be able to use more negotiation tactics that most buyers never get to implement. Tactics like a lease buyout planning. When you start the conversation early with your landlord, you actually might be surprised at your options to break your lease. And that could mean that you could capitalize on advantageous buying conditions that are happening now as opposed to 3 months from now when your lease is going to be done. You'll also get to do the calculations on one of my favorite things. It's the first mortgage payment timing trick. You can leverage the difference in how mortgages are paid versus rents. Mortgages are paid after you occupy 30 days. Rents you pay on the first of the month and you pay for the 30 days that you're about to stay in the house. So that means when you buy a home, you're going to put in that initial closing costs, get a few weeks in there, and then when you hit your first of the month, you don't have a payment. You may be 5 to 7 weeks without a mortgage payment. That means you're going to have extra cash from extra paychecks to help you in those first 5, 6, 7 weeks of owning a home with some extra cash. You also can learn and monitor how sellers in your area are giving credits. You can learn how to structure your offer to actually get cash back from the seller. You'll also learn about tactics to lower your mortgage interest rate. There's all kinds of different programs. They're changing all the time. You can constantly be monitoring with your lender, adjusting your DTI and things to get you the best rate. Not to mention, if you do get some cash back, you may be able to get what's called a mortgage interest rate buy down using that cash you get from the seller. And then, of course, there's always the down payment assistance programs and grants. And don't worry about your income. There are a whole bunch of down payment programs that don't have an income maximum. And there are even some down payment assistance programs that you can stack on top of each other. You can use 2 of them and double your benefits. And there's too many more to list. That's why you start the planning early, because you can unlock all of them if your real estate team is constantly monitoring your planning to figure out what's best for you. Check out episode 437 to get the details on how to know if you've got the best coaching staff working for you in your area. Because the local first-time homebuyer specialists, the unicorns, they're on top of the first-time homebuyer market every single day so they can tell you about what's happening and what new things they're seeing work. I highly encourage you to continue your free education while you're working the plan with your coaches. That's what the podcast does. Giving this stuff away for free forever. The episode guide to the podcast library, that's got everything. And we'll put that in the show notes. The buyers who hire their teams early, they succeed. The buyers who hire their teams early and continue educating themselves while they're working with them, they succeed on superior levels. This is the training that's going to get you to the Super Bowl. It's like doing extra drills after practice or spending extra time lifting weights or running at 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark so that when your coaches say, hey, I've got a play we can run, you're confident and you're ready because knowledge is power. The playbook and the coaches and the podcast, that gives you your knowledge. Now you keep taking it in, keep learning so that you can be the best player available to execute the plays to get to your Super Bowl. Am I done with the sports analogy? I don't know. Because the playbook, that's something that should be given every first-time home buyer, and it's just not. And in this tougher home buying environment in 26 and 27, the knowledge gap, because people aren't getting this information, it's costing people years of progress. So I'm doing my best. I'm teaching it here, clearly, honestly, without an agenda, because a clear planning strategy, that is your highest form of leverage. And leverage is everything when you're buying a home. That knowledge, that clear planning strategy, it does more for you than anything else out there. It does more than lower prices. It does more than lower interest rates. The sooner you have this, the stronger your position becomes. And here's why the playbook is working right now, especially in this economy. Because one, I'm sorry, gang, most realtors and lenders, they think that first-time home buyers suck. They think you suck their time, their energy, and their money. So the industry knowingly and intentionally only offers the weakest, untrained, unqualified realtors and lenders to first-time home buyers because you're not worth it. You don't make enough money. Doesn't matter what kind of money you make. You don't make enough money for them. So my best tip is get a unicorn, someone who doesn't care, someone who realizes that you're more than a one-time customer and they want to make this the biggest and best experience of your life to set you up so that you can have the biggest and best life. Get a unicorn. I don't care if you find one on your own or you ask me for one that I vetted. Just find someone who's a first-time homebuyer specialist in your area. This is my top tip after 20 years of coaching first-time homebuyers because you don't have to choose all the horses and donkeys out there. Choose a unicorn. There's one in your area. They're rare. There are 3 million licensed real estate agents. And I think right now I'm only endorsing about 30 truly vetted unicorns. That's 0.01%. And the reason they're rare is because unicorns don't care when you buy. They care how you buy. They're pros that want the best for you, period. Second reason why you need to use this playbook, you got to make sure that you're checking your sources of information. I've been coaching first-time homebuyers for 20 years, and I started this podcast because I was depressed and disgusted at how few people in the industry were getting you guys the information that you deserve. I realized it's because nobody wanted to work that hard to lay out the planning. They just wanted to slam dunk buyers and a quick payday. So I grabbed the mic, and here we go. This is where we're at. And then number 3, how to buy homes free. It's even sponsor free, so you don't have to hear ads from people that are trying to sell you a crap. You're not being sold anything here. Check the track record. Hundreds and hundreds of podcasts and YouTube videos and social media videos. It's everything. It's happened through every market since 2019. Forecast, predictions, and guidance on the optimum ways to take advantage. And it's all there because I try to make sure I'm transparent as a ghost. I share opportunities because if you're more prepared, you can drastically change your life trajectory. That's all I care about. Not here to sell you a webinar or some other course that you need to take. And then number 4, this isn't just me advising you. This program, it's all based in math because the math is overwhelming. It's laid out in several episodes in the episode guide where I do all the new math for first-time home buyers. Episodes like rent versus buy, buy now or wait, and of course, the market updates. I usually try to do those twice a month. So for you, if you're thinking about buying a home, your playbook shouldn't be, all right, let's check to see if we qualify for a home today. But unfortunately, I know that's the playbook that's being offered to 99% of you out there from the lazy and greedy real estate industry. This playbook here, it's about making a plan and a timeline that's most beneficial for you. And I happen to know that the math says for most of you, it's a lot sooner than you think it is. Because, dude, get started. It's just a plan. Nobody's forcing you to buy, especially if you come into it saying, all right, give me a 12-month plan. You can adjust your plan anytime. You can extend it, or you know what? You can bail on the plan anytime. I mean, wouldn't you rather find out 8 months before you start writing offers on homes that your real estate team that's supposed to be there to serve and protect you, that you're not vibing with them, that you don't feel good about them? Wouldn't you rather try to switch 8 months before you're ready to start writing offers instead of 8 days before you're supposed to close on a transaction and you could possibly lose your deposit or maybe lose your dream home? Okay, I know I've been getting pretty fired up on this podcast, but it's because this is the thing that I just want everyone to understand. In fact, I really just want the whole real estate industry to understand and change the way they do business. Stop treating everyone like garbage. I started this revolution because the people who need the most guidance in anything real estate related, they're getting the least. And that's just not right. When you work this plan, when you work this playbook with coaches who give a damn about first-time home buyers, it will blow your mind when you see the options and opportunities that you truly have. And we've got stories. Check the episode guide for all the listener interviews, great testimonials, as well as just really inspirational stories. So now that you know, let me tell you the same thing I've been telling everyone since I started in real estate and saying on the podcast since 2019, because in 2026 and 27, this is now more true than ever. Because if we end up going in a flat market, all the math I explained in episode 1, it's going to be really important to do your planning. Because as a homeowner, your time in the market, that's going to gain you so much more wealth than trying to time your purchase when you get your home. So this last lease ever, it's pretty urgent because the sooner that you start your journey, the sooner that most of you are going to realize that you can do this sooner than you think. And then the sooner you start accumulating wealth. Don't wait for everything to feel perfect before you start a plan or you reach out to someone, because the data's in here. 72% of the people who thought they needed a year or a year and a half, they were under contract in 3.2 months. You are a lot closer than you think. And this whole podcast, it is truly a labor of love. It's my chance to give back with this information that I learned. So I want the How to Buy a Homies to have a fair shake in this system because it's unfortunately disrespecting and ignoring you. Let's put the power back in the hands of the people. The mission with planning early is you, and the playbook's ready for you. It's got education, clarity, empowerment vibes, and action that you can take and track. So come on, team, stop making excuses. Stop waiting for prices to crash or 3% interest rates to come back or saving up for that perfect 20% down payment. Those are myths and fears that keep you stuck renting with more losses than gains. Because the real move is to just start a plan. It's not buy a house. Doesn't matter how far down the line you think you're going to be ready. Go to howtobuyahome.com. That's where you can ask me a question directly. Hit the Ask David button. I'll answer your questions. Or you can ask for your unicorn planning support team. Remember, it's no obligation and no one's going to force you to do anything, but it is going to set you up to do this better than 99% of the people out there do it. You can get a couple quick meetings, get your action steps, color in your thermometers, and change your life. The people who don't want to work hard and they don't want to figure out how to help you with the plan, they don't see the value in getting you to where you need to go. So fine, don't work with them. Work with the 0.1% that do value you. And you're going to be the one showered in confetti, holding that championship trophy or accepting a Tony or an Oscar or a Nobel Peace Prize or whatever trophy rocks your world. Just start planning so you get the best options for when you're ready to do this. So go to howtobuyahome.com and ask me a question. There's a button to ask David. Or you know what? I said it. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be perfect to start your plan. There's also a place to ask for a unicorn support team. Book your meetings, get your action steps, color in your thermometers, change your life. Unicorns, that's going to be the difference. Because the buyers who put the time in on that pre-planning, man, their results are out of this world. And that means you're going to be the person holding that championship trophy or accepting your Tony or your Oscar or your Nobel Peace Prize or whatever trophy rocks your world. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.